Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Nate Lowe. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I utilize the space underneath the topper toolboxes next to the cargo glide, how I built what I did, and what I'm going to be putting in them. Stay tuned. Alright, so like I stated in the beginning of the video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I made and utilized the space underneath the toolbox storage and the topper. The cargo glide is roughly here. I tried to utilize this space as it was driving me crazy because the cargo glide went to here and I just couldn't utilize this space over here. So I decided to make my own little shelf. With all the weight up in here, this thing acts as a support and a protection sleeve all in one. So if you guys can see, I made the black support the entire width of the toolbox shelf, and I made it just a tad bit higher than what this sat so that the weight was resting on top of the 3/4 inch plywood. Performance Car and Truck mentioned that these arms here that are suspended from the ceiling of the topper are rated at holding the shelf with 200 pounds inside. And I just felt with all the custom shelving that I made and all the bins that all that metal was kind of weighing down. And you could see that the weight of the toolbox was kind of doing one of these numbers. So my dad and I thought it was best to try and get something up underneath here and support the shelf from down below. So now the weight is on the topper itself, but most of the weight is being transferred through the 3/4 inch plywood onto the top of the truck vault, which has a joist system in there. It's doubled up 3/4 inch plywood. So I feel very confident that the weight of here will be just fine sitting on the truck vault. Now before we get going and I show you guys how I make this, I wanted to give you a little demo on the inverter that I put in here. I had Performance Car and Truck order and install an inverter which is hanging way up there on the front side of that toolbox. It's being supplied with 12 volts for my battery, and then it utilizes an Ethernet cable that I ran underneath the truck vault for the switch. And then for the 120, I took a 10 gauge 3-wire extension cord and cut the ends off. I wired in an extension cord end and plugged it into the inverter, ran the other end down here, and then I wired it into the outlet itself. Now behind here, each one of these has its own electrical box. Now I used an old work box which compresses on the back side of the truck vault's plywood, ran the wires through there, and then did what I had to do to hook it up. So now I'll go ahead and show you guys how it works. You just press this button here and it will turn the inverter on, and then you'll notice that my battery charger will get some power, and now my batteries are charging. So this was a great addition to the back of the topper. We'll shut this off and I'll show you guys what I have left in the slider. To access all the stuff inside the slider, just simply take the charger out, and then I have Aprilaire media filters in here. We install these mainly in furnaces versus the 1-inch filters. So I got the smaller one up top, got the bigger one down below, and then I made this slider out of tin. Just pull this out. There is a back side here so that the filters sit right in here and they won't go any further back. And that also acts as a stop so that my light doesn't come any further up. Now a buddy told me about these. It's the Milwaukee tripod light. I'm not sure exactly the model number. And it just simply folds out like this, and then you pull the head of the light up and you have about a 6-7 foot tripod light. I don't plan on utilizing this that much, so that's why it's towards the front of the truck. However, I do think it's nice to have it in the truck if ever needed. So just put that back on there, and that will slide up. Put my filters back in. Now let's go on to the part of the video where I'm going to show you how I make this, and then I will install it over there. And then I also plan on adding some toolbox liner into the bottom of the toolboxes, and I'll show you guys what that looks like as well. Here we go. So there you have it. I made this thing as tall as 11 inches so it can push up on the toolbox and the topper. The depth is 7.5, but that'll have to be figured out on your setup if you do try to mock this. And then the 45 piece in the back acts as a stop for anything that's sliding in there, and then it also acts as a support to keep the top piece from coming in on the bottom. Just like my other side, that one will too be spray painted black. I followed the exact same design. This is 11 inches, 7.5 wide, and on the back there's that mitered 45 piece to keep it nice and stiff. Now the reason the cargo glide is out is because I can't get it through here because it will hit here and hit there, and I can't slide it in here because it's wider than the opening for here. So what I have to do is get it on top of the cargo glide rail, go past the toolbox, go down and in at an angle, turn it up, and then pull it out, and then it will fit in perfect. While we're waiting for the paint to dry on that sleeve I just made, I'm going to take all the storage bins out of the topper, put them on the cart, get them out of the way. Then I'll get a measurement for how big of a piece of that toolbox lining that I need, get that temporarily installed, and then once we put the sleeve back in, cargo glide back in, then I'll be able to screw down through into the sleeves and then put the toolbox liner back in permanently. One thing to note, if you guys do this on yours, is there are nuts and bolts holding the arms to the toolbox. Plywood sleeve that I made is just a little bit bigger than the opening that I have, so that the weight is going to rest on that versus being transferred over to the metal brackets. So you're going to have to go ahead and loosen all them up and then lift that toolbox up while you slide in the piece of wood. And then once you let the toolbox rest on the piece of wood, then you can go ahead and tighten up your nuts and bolts again. Not even close. Not even close. That's not cool. My apologies, everybody. I went ahead and did all the work of installing this and installing the cargo glide because my dad showed up and we were looking things over, and for some odd reason I just got the stinking hunch to measure everything before we slid the cargo glide in, and the spacing to fit the cargo glide in was an inch too short. So I had to go ahead and chop that up with a Sawzall. The reason being is my measurement from here to there was back here, and my shelf deal that I made was hitting here. So I just chopped that off with a Sawzall, slid that one over. Did the same thing here, chopped off with a Sawzall, slid it over. So then I had my 49 inches here and here to clear the cargo glide. Now in doing so, by shortening this up, my battery charger no longer fits there. That's not a deal breaker. This was going here no matter what. It was just very convenient that the battery charger fit there. And it does not fit over on the other side either. So what my dad thought was maybe we could hang it here. However, I'm not gonna waste any valuable real estate here until I've made my mind up. So for now, the battery charger is probably just gonna hang out in the truck vault. On the plus side of all this, we are now done and complete. The filter still fit, the rocket light still fits, filter still fit over here, and the cargo glide can still slide in and out. So the next plan of attack is to get some screws and drill through the toolbox into the wood so that everything's nice and stout. Once that's done, I'll go ahead and finish putting in the toolbox liner and we'll be done for the night. So that about wraps things up for this video. I'll go ahead and finish screwing that side, layer the toolbox liner in there, and I'll be done for the night. I hope you guys liked this video on how I built the supporting sleeves for next to the cargo glide. Something to note, if you guys want to do this project yourself, you'll have to make precise measurements and not screw up like I did. Otherwise, for the most part, the project went just fine. The toolbox liner was easy to install, very easy to screw it and assemble everything. So if you guys have any questions in regards to how I built these, drop them in the comment section below. If you guys thought this video was very creative, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more creative future content, make sure you click that subscribe button and then click the bell notification so you too will get a notification whenever I upload a video. Thanks for watching. You guys have a good night, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.